All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings in tonight's video. It's insane because they're 14-2. The Minnesota Vikings are literally 14-2. I don't even think people would have bet money out of their own pocket that the Kansas City Chiefs, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, would win 14 or more games this upcoming season. Week 18 matchup on the road against the Detroit Lions for the #1 seed in the NFC, the #1 spot in the NFC North. Huge game of the year. This is easily, arguably, the conference championship game that we'll see in a couple of weeks. But my point is, this Vikings team's legit. We knew they were legit. A lot of people thought they were going to be a good team, but 14-2, I mean, that's literally greatness. I'm glad we're finally seeing some Sam Darnold MVP discussions. Even as a Packers fan, can't catch a break against the Vikings, can't catch a break against the Lions. Even as a Packers fan, what the Minnesota Vikings are doing right now is crazy. But the legitimacy of this team, I'm glad it finally became apparent after a win against my team. We've been saying this for so long, and for whatever reason, against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday afternoon, that victory established Minnesota as Super Bowl contenders, which we've known for quite a bit. The Vikings have actually played 5 teams that have already clinched playoff spots heading into this week. The Green Bay Packers twice, the Detroit Lions, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Houston Texans. But what's even crazier is Sam Darnold in those football games. So in those 5 specific games, Sam Darnold's been an absolute beast. He's thrown for 266.4 passing yards per game. He's completing 72.8% of his passes. And in those 5 games, he has 13 touchdowns and only 2 picks. This is an MVP. And this is a crazy Super Bowl caliber team. But folks, before we get any further into tonight's video, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Vikings fans, love and appreciate you guys as always. If we try and get this video to 250 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. Also, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you all for the love and support. These Vikings, week 18 is going to be insane. But I would like to urge people away from being so aggressive. I've already seen this. The Vikings Lions is a big rivalry. It's an NFC North showdown. It's got huge playoff implications, literally game of the year. And it's not even close. We keep saying game of the year for every good game, week 14 out. But this is literally game of the year here. Whether or not the Vikings win this game, it matters, but it also doesn't matter. Sam Darnold has been incredible. He is 3rd in the NFL in passing yards with 4,153. He's 5th in passer rating at 106.4 against my Green Bay Packers, a really solid defense. I know we were without cornerback #1, Jair Alexander, but I still think, and it is biased, the Green Bay Packers have a really good, rock-solid defense. Against the Packers, 33 of 43, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That was a bad read. We get it. He was only sacked 1 time in that entire football game. And once again, just talking about that Packers game, I don't know what it was, because heading into that game, Minnesota was 13-2. I don't know why it took the NFL media world this long. I don't know how it took the NFL media world this long, but I guess it did. I was watching The Herd, Colin Cowherd, and he said this quote, and I thought it summed everything up perfectly. They know what they have in Minnesota. What they have is an MVP level quarterback. It's not just a great story. That was September and October. In November, it was, do we have a great player? Now it's, do we have the MVP? So since that rough 2-game stretch in early November, around that 2-game losing streak, Sam Darnold has had 18 touchdowns, 2nd in the NFL, right behind Jared Goff with the Lions, and only 2 interceptions. The Vikings have won all 7 of those games in that stretch. By the way, they've won 9 straight games. Sam Darnold also leads the NFL with 60 completions over 20 yards. He has a 70% completion percent with 26 total touchdowns and 3 picks in the red zone in the season. One thing you'll notice when you watch a Vikings game is how good they are in the red zone offensively and defensively. A lot of the nitpicks for the Vikings, and we talk about this on the channel all the time, is, they give up big plays. The secondary is susceptible to giving up big plays. But when they get into the red zone, the Vikings' red zone defense is cream of the crop. And same thing with the offense. I mean, you are literally putting up insane statistics. You have a 70% completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, and 3 picks in the red zone. That's insane. And in the last 7 games, in the second half, Sam Darnold has over 1,000 yards and a passer rating of 114. So, if you guys have been following around this channel this season, in the first 5 games, when you guys won 5 straight games to start off the season, people were waiting for Sam Darnold and the Vikings to just, start to derail. And when that didn't happen, or I should say, actually, when that quote unquote happened in like 4 days, the Vikings lost 2 games. You lost to the Detroit Lions, in crazy fashion. Detroit, obviously currently the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're also 14-2, as you guys all know, with Week 18 looming. And then you hit the road for a 4-game Thursday night football game against the Los Angeles Rams. People just kind of forgot about the Vikings. They haven't lost since that 2 games in 4-day stretch. But this team's insane. Jordan Addison, only 5 wide receivers have scored 20 touchdowns combined over the last 2 seasons. It's just an insane company. In fact, Jordan Addison's 10 touchdowns this season, he's had 9 receiving and 1 rushing, are currently tied for 5th behind Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Terry McLaurin. Jalen Naylor just had a phenomenal game, and he's had a really good, phenomenal season as wide receiver number 3 for the Minnesota Vikings. He was targeted 5 times. He had all 5 catches for 81 yards and that huge touchdown to get it going for Minnesota early on in the second quarter. Blake Cashman is really important because Ivan Pace is back. And we've made multiple videos about the Vikings defense in the last month or so saying when Blake Cashman is out, the Vikings defense takes a huge hit. When Ivan Pace Jr. is out, that Vikings defense takes a huge hit. Blake Cashman against the Green Bay Packers Sunday afternoon led the team with 11 total tackles. He also led the team with a sack and a half. And just getting Ivan Pace Jr. back in the mix at linebacker opens everything up. Brian Flores is going to be able to let Blake Cashman do a whole multitude of different things, which is why Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings brought him in. It's just crazy. And obviously, if you're a Vikings fan watching this video, you feel a certain way, win or lose, right? If you're a Lions fan, same thing here. But I'll just tell you, as an unbiased Green Bay Packers fan who just likes the NFL, born and raised on NFC North football, I can't wait to watch this game. And, even if the Vikings lose, if the Lions lose, it's just not the end of the world. And I just also at the same time, getting that number 1 seed in the NFC at the same time, like I said, is a big deal. So this is just going to be a phenomenal game. You couldn't ask for anything better in Week 18. 2 14-2 teams battling it out for the number 1 seed in the NFC and for the division title. Folks, that's it for tonight. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Give me an early score prediction for Minnesota at Detroit a couple of days from now. That's it from me. Peace.